So, welcome to my Substack. What are we going to talk about today? Well, we are going to talk about how Trump yesterday said the federal government is going to take over elections in the state of Texas and all these other states that all this fraud has been found. Well, we all know what the real deal is there. Okay. We all know what the real deal is. We know that there's been no fraud. We know he's lying. And we know the reason he wants to take it over is so he can cheat and so he can take a person's vote who's against him and not count it and whatever else they do. And I know that people are worried, which they have a right to be based on what he's done and how he has thrown the Constitution in the garbage and doesn't care one bit about it. They're worried about what will happen if he can actually do this. And I'll admit that when it gets up to the Supreme Court, they've issued rulings that make no sense and that capitulate to what he wants to do, okay? They have essentially given way more power to the president than was intended by the founding fathers and by a whole variety of situations. Just a minute. I'm getting messages off the hook here. Let me put my on focus, do not disturb, 1 hour. There we go. Now I won't get it. Now we can talk together. Okay. So the bottom line here is that the federal government, that being Trump, does not have the authority to commandeer the elections apparatus of a state by pretending that there's fraud and that he has the authority to go in and do it fairly, okay? Doesn't have the authority to do that. The Constitution, which, believe it or not, there are a lot of judges out there that still follow it. The Constitution has made clear that elections are the province of the state to control. Now, it doesn't matter that it's a federal election in a state process, okay? The federal government does not have any authority in the Constitution whatsoever to take over a state's election apparatus and to conduct the elections itself. Why? Well, we know why. Because he'll cheat. He'll lie. He'll he'll pretend it's all fair, and it'll happen like it happened in Russia, where 94% of everybody loves Putin and decided that he should be president. Okay, we all know what that really means. So, one of the reasons the founding fathers made it so that the states have the authority to conduct elections is for that very reason. Okay? It is the United States. It is not the federal states. And each state has its own laws and its own procedures to ensure the fairness of elections and to make sure its citizens of its state are properly represented. Everybody knows that if the federal government were to pretend that there was fraud and pretend that it had power to take it over, that all of a sudden, all of the blue states would turn red and all of the red states would remain red. And it would basically mean, realistically, it would basically mean the end of democracy. The only thing that, and the most important thing that Trump has not been able to touch, although he's tried, is the right for people to vote who they want in office. And you can see over the last several months that there has been a great dissatisfaction with the way things are going. And Democrats have won up and down. I mean, take the last one, for example, in Texas, a district that has not voted Democratic since 1991. And it wasn't he just pulled out barely. I mean, there was a 35-point spread between when they voted for Trump, in 2024, and now 2 years later, 35% have switched over to Democrats. So, obviously Trump saw that and go, "Oh, he's worried, right? What can he do to stop this?" Well, he can't. He's gonna try. He will definitely try. And there'll be people like, the governor of Texas who rolls over and gives Trump whatever he wants without any regard to the Constitution, without any regard to his actual duties. He'll roll over and allow Trump to go in there and do that. So then the question is, what can be done? Well, any citizen who's affected by this, which is basically everybody who doesn't want this done, and we'll start with Texas, can bring lawsuits for several different means. Okay, several different means. Injunctive relief to stop it, uh, violation of separation of powers between the federal government and the state, violation of the 10th Amendment by trying to commandeer the state election apparatus. So there's all kinds of stuff that can be done. And of course, all of the judges will rule and have ruled that the federal government does not have the power to do this. And so it'll obviously all go up to the Supreme Court. Trump will hope that his people on the Supreme Court will vote for him. And that's where I'm worried because since they've taken over, okay, in the Supreme Court, they have given Trump so much stuff that in my wildest dreams I would not have assumed they could rule like they did. Just pure made up law. Okay, I mean the one about presidential immunity. Come on. They've placed him in the position of a king. They've made it so that he can order SEAL Team 6 to go kill an American citizen, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. And then the Chief Justice Roberts comes on and says that he's never seen such disregard for the rulings and so forth. I go, well, Chief Justice, you're the one that ruled in favor of presidential immunity by pretending that that law existed. There's no precedent, no law, no statute, no regulation, nothing that ever touched on that issue. And that's not what the Supreme Court does. That's not what courts do. They don't make law up. They look at precedent and they look at all the rulings underneath and they rule accordingly on what has happened and whether it is right or it's wrong and why. They don't say to themselves, well, we want to give something to the president, so we're going to make up something. Okay. I mean, I remember where Justice Kavanaugh said this is going to be a decision for the ages. Anyone who says that it's going to be a decision for the ages is not. Because if it was a decision for the ages, everybody would know about it. And believe me, it was not a decision for the ages. I guarantee you, when they are out of power and we have a normal Supreme Court again, they will strike down this presidential immunity quicker than you will believe. Okay? That's how it is. But we have to deal with it now. So that's why I fear that when it gets up to the Supreme Court and there's all these rulings underneath that say that the president can't take over a state election apparatus, that they're going to make something up that allows him to do that. That's what I fear. Okay. So hopefully that won't happen. So that's that. I can tell you what the law is now and the Constitution and inform you that there is absolutely no right for a president to do what he's saying he's going to do. And then we can cross our fingers that the Supreme Court justices will at least follow the law on that. Okay? All right. Everybody have a good day.